Hello again, this is Mike with another episode of Toy Train Tips and Tricks. In previous episodes, I have shown how I often utilize mixed lots of auction items to acquire Lionel and other trains at bargain prices. When mixed together, these items are generally priced below what they would cost individually, and the shipping cost is spread out among many items. So some pieces that would be unreasonable to acquire individually are perfectly economical when mixed together. This box is my most recent such acquisition. For this one, there was an additional factor at play besides just affordability, and that was targeting a purpose. All of us have limited resources, especially in today's economy, and if we simply chase down every bargain because it's a bargain, we will end up with lots of items that we really don't use often, if at all, because they don't fit in with our operating or collecting interests. Just because something is a great buy doesn't necessarily mean we will actually run it often. Instead, we end up with a collection of misfit items that simply use up space and our precious budget, and that's just a waste rather than a bargain. So in this case, I passed up bidding on several mixed lots that were actually cheaper in order to acquire one that better fit my interests. Let's see how I did with this box of assorted Lionel MPC items. First, we have a Lionel MPC Era 69126 C&O tri-level auto rack from 1973 to 74. Similar cars were featured in my recent video about adding weight to cars, which significantly improves their track-worthiness. The cars are different from the run-of-the-mill box cars and gondolas, and they can navigate 027 curves, although they look kind of ridiculous doing it, and they fit in perfectly with my preferred modeling era of the mid-1970s. I have several of these auto racks in my collection, but I thought I needed one more to make my unit train of these cars the right length for my layout, so now I can check that goal off my list. This car still has all of its end stops, which fall off easily and are difficult to find replacements for, so that's a bonus. And other than being a bit dusty, it's in good shape. Similar cars without boxes usually sell in the $15 to $20 range, so to judge how I did overall with this purchase, let's go with the low-end price of $15. Next out of the box is the 69013 Canadian National Hopper car, made sometime between 1972 and 1979. Unlike the post-war era, when you could get hopper cars in any road name you liked as long as it was Lehigh Valley, Lionel MPC made many colorful hoppers in a wide variety of road names. This car was a staple in Lionel starter sets, and in fact, I had two of them as a young lad, but one of them somehow disappeared over the years. With this one, I can now complete my childhood sets, checking another item off my want list. Typical of starter set cars of the era, this one has one fixed and one operating coupler. At a train show, these cars will generally sell between $5 and $10. So to purchase this car individually online, the shipping cost would be more than the cost of the car itself. In a mixed lot, however, it becomes more economical. Again, to see how I did, let's go with that low-end price of $5 for this car. Next is the number 69136 Republic Steel Gondola car. Again, MPC changed up the monotony of New York's central post-war gonds with a variety of colors and road names, and this car was made sometime between 1972 and 1979. Like the Canadian National Hopper, this car was common in starter sets of the era, and also like the Canadian National car, I originally had two of them, but one disappeared over the years. So again, I can complete my first two childhood starter sets, and can you really ever have too many gonds? Check another item off my want list. Gondolas are also so useful for all kinds of loads on the layout. One of the original three canisters came with the box on this one as well. These cars are even more common than the Canadian National Hopper, so $5 is about as high as you'll find these unless it's in mint condition, so let's go with that $5 as my price for this one. The trucks are going to be worth that much. Next is the number 69122 Northern Pacific flat car with trailers. The 9122 was made between 1972 and 1975 and came in two versions, the common brown version, which I already have, and this green version. The car is in good shape with the trailer holders intact, and the trailers are also complete and in good shape. You will often find trailers like these missing roofs or the front support. A pair of trailers alone can sell for $10 to $20, with plain ones like these generally selling for less than those with more colorful graphics. As with the auto racks, I featured these piggyback cars on a recent video where I demonstrated how using weight can greatly improve the reliability. And like the auto racks, I was looking for just one more car to fill up my trailer jet. Check another item off of my want list. Trailers were common on U.S. railroads from the 1960s through the early 2000s when they were generally replaced by container trains. But in their heyday, trailer jets were usually the highest priority trains on the railroad, running fast and on schedule. The trailers are more of a 1950s design, but here I yield to budget and practicality, because the twin 40 and 45-foot trailers common in the 1970s would require cars that are much longer and much more expensive, and would have trouble navigating my layout. Most piggyback cars complete with trailers will go for $20 to $25 without a box. Since this one is a harder to find variation, let's go with that higher end figure of $25 for this car. By the way, either plain white or gray trailers are appropriate loads for the 9122 car. Next is a non-functioning number 6 9300 Penn Central log dump car made sometime between 1970 and 1973. This car is simply parts value to me. I have another dump car with a broken log tray, but this one seems to be intact. To order just the part, the item plus shipping would be about $12. In this case, I will use this part and repaint it to match and repair my other car. Plus, a good set of trucks is worth about $5, so even this broken car is worth $10 to $15 just in parts value alone, and it checks off another item off my want list. Let's just call it $5 for our purposes. Next is a number 6 9786 Chicago and Northwestern boxcar from 1977. Can you ever have enough boxcars? Even though this is a rather plain car and it's not specifically on my want list, it does work with my Era and it's in good condition. Most 9700 series boxcars without boxes sell for $15 to $20. Let's use the $15 figure for the sake of our accounting. Lastly, we have the number 6 9021 Santa Fe work caboose. Essentially a short flat car with parts added. This was also a common starter set item from 1970 to 1977. Unlike the post-war original with two-piece construction, MPC's modular version was cheaper to produce, but more parts in the possession of young hands leads to missing pieces, and these are most often found like this one, missing a part or two, in this case the front tray. This came with the third and last starter set of my childhood, the Trains and Trucking set with the number 8770 EMD NW2 switcher, and this is the only missing item from that set in my collection. So again, it at least partially checks an item off my list until I find either the missing part or a more complete model. I do have several options for this car. For the time being, I'll probably just use it as a standard flat car unless and until I can find a replacement part or a complete caboose. As a basic flat car, this would sell at most shows for about $5. The trucks are worth that much. We'll ignore the additional caboose parts for the sake of our calculation. Here's the group of items after a quick cleaning with water and a cotton cloth. It doesn't take much work to make these cars look quite spiffy. So, how did I do? By my estimate, purchasing each of these cars and parts separately would have cost about $75. And in shipping for eBay or any other online purchase options, the cost would swell to well over $100. But with my box, including shipping, I paid just $40 and some change, a significant savings. Meanwhile, the only car in the group that wasn't directly related to an operating or collecting want is the boxcar, and there's always room for more boxcars. In short, My suggestion when shopping for these bargain boxes is don't just look for the biggest bang for the buck, also consider what items you can check off your want list at the same time and shop accordingly. With a little patience and careful bidding, you can land the items you're looking for without paying the full market rate. Patience is also a key. You won't win every auction, and don't try to. Carefully look at the items and determine the maximum you are willing to pay, including shipping, before you bid. That way you won't have buyer's remorse when you're finished. Now to the layout. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and if so, please like the video, share, subscribe, and tell your friends and neighbors. Keep the trains running and keep an eye out for bargains. And we'll see you next time on Toy Train Tips and Tricks.